Cool. Cool. I'm there, man. I'll tell one quick commercial real estate story, and then we'll jump into the other stuff. I know we don't have a lot of time before our 8 o'clock, but I think we'll be able to do some damage. When I was buying a building back in Chattanooga, at this point, I was probably like 26, 27. And it was a 7,500 square foot, commercial building. I was actually going to move on top floor. It had some office space and a retail unit on the bottom floor, and then it had 3 apartments on the second floor. And so I go and I meet the guy, and I'm walking through the building, and the quick version of the story, he starts on the first floor, and he's like, okay, so like, but who's really buying this building? And, of course, it's a white dude. And I'm like, I'm going to be the buyer. And he's like, yeah, like, I understand you're here to buy it, but like, who are you representing? And I'm like, I'm representing myself. I'm going to be the buyer. And he's like, okay, but like, are your parents going to come in and help you buy it? And so I'm just like, it gets to a point when you're dealing with folks where it's like, I don't even want to buy this from you. Like, if it weren't such a good deal, I'd already be out the door. So we get to the second floor. Yeah. We get to the second floor, and he starts with like a second series of questions. So like, I saw you, and this was also just a different time in my life. So I had a Mercedes. He was like, I saw you pulled up in a Mercedes. Like, what do you do? And so, I tell him like what I do, blah, blah, blah. And, I figured like, okay, we're over the hump. Then I realized, like, I had gotten into a good school when I was young in Chattanooga. Shout out to Chat folks, Macaulay. So it turns out he actually went to Macaulay as well. So I'm thinking, like, once we got that connection, we went to the same school, dog. Like, the questioning would stop. Dog, he still kept going. We get to the third floor, and he's like, listen, man, like, you can tell me. Like, I just want to know what's going on, like, just so I know what I'm getting into. He was like, are you selling drugs? And I was like, whoa, this man just asked me if I'm selling drugs. It's like, I saw the Mercedes, like, what, what's it? So, like, sometimes you just got to deal with a different level of stuff, man. You got to deal with another level of stuff when you're coming up. But yeah, so you never know what the motivation is, but that was one of the things that I had to deal with. Yeah. Good, man. All right, so let's get in. Last time we talked about just like life, and that was one of those things too, where, it ties into what we talked about last time. Like, I went through a stage personally where I set I just went through basically buying a lot of stuff. I bought, a cool house, and then, just buying cars and all that stuff. And then just realized it wasn't cool. Like, I just didn't, and for me, it wasn't enjoyable. And then, I had kind of that moment where I was really motivated, and I was kind of hustling. I was just going full speed ahead. At that point, at kind of the height of my offline businesses, I had 10 businesses that ranged from Plato's Closet to the spas to the real estate business. And what, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. This is about you asking the question. So, yeah, so after Cool Wall Street, I talked a little bit about that business failing. And, it was over a year later before I met my mentor who made me realize that that wasn't a failure. Like, I turned $3,000 into that business. But for me, because I just felt that it's still, it just still felt like failure. It's like, okay, I don't want to deal with investors or any of that stuff. And so the first business after I got fired from the mortgage company or the bank was, okay, I had my team, and I talked about that, right? I talked about getting fired last time. Yeah, yeah. So I ended up going, I love like right now I'm getting like a ton of just like messages coming on. It's like, but I find a mortgage company that's for sale. And even when just the emotional side of all this stuff is also something I think is important for people to understand. But like, when you get fired, like it sucks. And I also had that team. Like I built a team. So I'm like paying those people. Now I don't even have an income. So again, just licking the wounds, but trying to come back very quickly. And, so now I'm on the hunt for a mortgage company to buy. And I find a business that I can buy. It was almost, they had a mortgage, they had a license and all that, but the guy that was running it was pretty much running it part-time. And so they weren't doing much business. And bottom line is I got it for no money down. So I was able to buy that business. We walked in, they wanted out. We had a note, even the note was very small. It was like a $50,000 note that we had on the business. And I didn't have to go through starting up from scratch. Everything was in place. And so we could just come in and take over. So that was the first one. Around that same time, I bought the first tanning salon. And again, it was finding motivated sellers. So in both of those cases, it was very motivated sellers. Tanning salon was actually more motivated, and ended up, like I talk about, like the first time I walked into a tanning salon in my life, I bought it, and the lady had put an ad on Craigslist. And was just like, I got to move to Europe. My husband has gotten a great job in Europe. I got to move in like 2 weeks. I don't want to close this down. I want to sell it, blah, blah. So I went in and basically typed out a contract on her computer. And so that was the second deal. And that was when I just realized, like, okay, and really the tanning salon, the reason I came across the tanning salon was I was looking for the mortgage company. I didn't obviously I had no interest in a tanning salon. Like I didn't know, I've never used one, never been in one, had no interest whatsoever. But while I was looking for the mortgage thing, I think it's interesting to think about at that point, it wasn't like I went out and I was going to start buying and selling businesses. I was looking for a mortgage company, saw that ad that was like, man, this lady seems pretty motivated, and just went in and just talked to her and check it out and walked out the owner. So those were the first two deals. No money down. Oh yeah, yeah. On either one of those first two deals, there was no money down. Yeah. So yeah. So that was when it clicked. That was the first time that it ever clicked for me that buying and selling businesses could be a thing. And so I wanted to take the money to grow those businesses. And so that was a big focus. And I immediately went to work buying other businesses as well. So like I basically, within the tanning salon, there was a lot of downtime. So I'm like, okay, these people are just sitting here during the day. There are very few people that are coming. You got to be open from 10 to 8. But, there are some people that are going to come during their lunch, and then there are some people that are going to come after work. And so outside those times, like, you got people sitting there. And so I put them to work starting to mail other businesses that I could buy. And so that became the focus. So I was putting away as much cash as I could. And, we're kind of skipping, like, I think when we first started this, it was buying the building. But this is before I got to that point. That's years later. At this point, I'm still living at home. I'm living at mom's house. I'm like 22, saving everything. Like, everything is being saved. So even when I was working, my expense was the team. So I didn't really have any other expenses. Yeah. The realization that I had with the mortgage company was I wanted to do some real estate investing. And I ended up buying a franchise called Home Investors when it was like early. Like, now it's a big, it's a big company, but this is 20 years ago. They were just getting started. And, part of me was like, man, this thing is kind of weird. But paid a big franchise fee, flew out. That was like a huge risk at that point because I'd saved up, I had some cash and had 50 grand. And so this was like one of the first times that I was putting up money up front. But my realization or my thought was, okay, I have the mortgage company. If all I do is a few deals a year and I'm also doing the mortgage on those, there's the win-win. You know what I mean? And so it was the first realization of that kind of symbiotic relationship. At the same time, on the tanning salon, we were buying I was buying another tanning salon, and it had a very, very talented team. And so, with the mortgage thing, there was an angle of I can do mortgages for this real estate investment company. And then for the tanning salon, it was, here's this incredible team that the lady had built who just did an amazing job. And now if I can find other salons, I can take that team and they're going to they were just very passionate. Yeah. And so I happened at the same time to find a tanning salon that was the opposite of ours. They had amazing marketing, but the operations sucked. The customer service was terrible. I sent in a few secret shoppers. That's one of the other sucky things, like when you're buying a business and you literally can't even secret shop there. Because as soon as you walk in, they're like, yo, what you doing here, homie? So I sent in some secret shoppers and like they were just terrible, but they were still killing it and making a ton of money because they were so good at the marketing. And so that was a great symbiotic relationship and a lot of synergy there. And in both of those two next deals, I had cash saved up. So it was like, and this is what people have to understand, if you're buying a no money down business, you just got to be open. If you're a black dude and it's a tennis salon, buy it. You know what I mean? It's no money down. Whatever the deal is, that's what you want to go do. But when you have a focus deal and you're buying things for synergy, there should be enough upside that it is worth putting in the cash. And so in both of those other transactions, I had to put up money, but the no money down deals were made enough money to put those down. So I paid some money up front for both of those. Yeah, I didn't pay anything off early. In both of those cases, there was no interest. And I would say even since then, in 90% of the seller finance deals that I've done, there's been no interest. People are now starting to realize like, hey, maybe I should charge interest on this. But back then, there was definitely just no interest. And so that's the last thing that you want to pay off. Sorry about that. I totally forgot about y'all on YouTube. I see now you asked about turning up the volume of the other guy. So I turned that up for y'all. Sorry about that. Ask that one more time, Chris. Yeah, so that would have, so it was probably about 2 years, 2 more years from that period that I was working on the businesses. So I would have had home investors at that point. I've got the mortgage company, and then I've got two of the salons. And with home investors, one of the deals that we came across was a cool quadplex that was just a really great property in a great part of Chattanooga, Missionary Ridge, and had amazing view and just all this stuff. And I was like, we looked at houses all the time. We're buying about 50 houses a year. And, I fell in love with the property, loved it, and decided, okay, I'm going to move into one of the units. So that would have been like around 24 or so. And, it was also like, I had gotten used to living free. I've got, the situation was good at home. I was working a lot. So it wasn't like, it was like, hurting me or anything. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't dating anybody, I didn't have a serious relationship. So it was like, like I got 4 businesses and then I just come home and check out and go to sleep. And a really cool thing that I enjoyed at that point was that with the home investors, I got an office and my dad ran a ministry. And so when I rented that office, I put him an office in there and rented an office to him in his ministry. And so we got to see each other every day and that kind of thing as well. So that was a really cool time period. And so at that point, the quadplex, other 3 units were actually paying for mine plus some. And that was a whole new set of adventures. And it was cool too. Like at that point, my friends were getting out of college and MBAs and all that. And so, it was a good, and I was the only one that was making money. So it was a good time. Yeah. So yes, it's two really different things, and some of that ties in. So I really had written off internet deals after Cool Wall Street failed. It was such an emotional crush to me that I was just like, I don't want to do any more internet businesses. And so that came a few years later. But one of the things on the credibility is, I really went very deep in the city that I was in first. And so, I just spent a lot of time donating to the right causes, connecting with people that were connected, and becoming known in the city as the person that if you've got a business for sale, you should talk to Ace. So I was the only one. So I started getting a bunch of leads and, just it started really coming together. I think that that's probably one of the things that in networking helps out is, if you are doing something that a lot of people do, then it's tougher to network. So if you are doing something that a lot of people do, you got to come up with a way to say that it's different. You know what I mean? Like Yeah, you know what I mean? And so like even for you, like there's a bunch of real estate investors. So you just introduce yourself as a real estate investor, then you're not, nobody's gonna really have that memory. They know their uncle, there's a real estate cousin. But when you say I'm a real estate investor, we actually just closed a 16 unit deal like the one you're working on, then it sets you apart and it lets them, and you know, I like to invest in these kind of deals. So for me, it was easy to get stuck in the minds of people, and then having some articles written, and understanding press, man. Press is really, really important and powerful. You know, just it continues to be. You know, I had a article in a newspaper, an article in a magazine in Chattanooga. And before all of this was actually planning on starting an office in Chattanooga. And so that was kind of one of the things that I was working on. So we had this press, and you know, just like as much as you feel like everything's online now, the offline press still has a big impact, and it's prestigious impact. The amount of outreach that I got from that, I was completely shocked. I was completely shocked. I can get into the internet thing, but let's see if you got anything else, and we can go a couple minutes over. But yeah, just for folks who are on, we've got our call with the other folks in the program here in a few minutes, so we'll be bouncing off. Oh, you blocked. You went away for a minute, but yes, the press strategy is big. Yeah, yeah. Mm, yeah. Man, it was a huge mentality thing, and just a way of seeing the world, that was really valuable. And one of the things, did I talk about the mentor that had turned me down here? I don't think we talked about that. So I go ahead. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I appreciated his time, because around that time I had another guy that was basically in private equity. And I went to him, and, you know, again, went to school with his daughter, was friends, you know, just like we're family friends, been to the house, really close, really cool. And, you know, still love and respect the guy a lot, and respect his realness. So I went to him like, hey, man, like, you know, we're talking, and he's like, like, I love what you're up to. I love what you're doing. Like, what questions can you have? How can I help you? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, man, what I really would love is to be able to come into the business. I'll be a free intern. Like, I'm trying to understand private equity. There's nowhere for me to really go to understand this stuff. He also did a lot of merchant banking and that kind of thing. And he was like, man, like, I can answer questions and things like that, but I really got to be honest with you. Like, I would not teach you that. I wouldn't want to teach you this stuff. And I'm like, whoa. He's like, I mean, the business that I'm building is for my daughter to take over. And I see how motivated you are, how smart you are. Like, why would I train somebody who not only is going to be my competitor while I'm running it, but can end up being a competitor to my daughter? And you know, just like that's something that just came to me as I was being interviewed for something else. That's why I couldn't remember if I mentioned it here. But like still, some around town still like the guy wasn't like, it's like, I get it. Like, hey, why would that was like, I appreciated the honesty and didn't just like blow me off, that kind of thing. It was like, dang, like that's just real. But that's why this knowledge is so powerful. And it was like, okay, I may have to learn it the hard way or figure it out. But also with my other mentor, why it was so valuable. I remember the second meeting that we had that was like a big transition. Y'all should be liking more on YouTube, by the way. Why aren't there likes over here? So, like one of the things that was cool with Mike was sitting down with him and just those mind shifts that he would do, and paradigm shifts and like little things that were small but so big. Like I was very proud of my net worth. And so we're going through numbers. Like I said, thanks. I appreciate that. So we would go through numbers and I was like, he's like, why did you do this deal? Why did you structure it this way? Why do you have this real estate? And, I was telling him like, one day, like this is going to be a lot of net worth and like blah, blah, blah. And he's like, net worth is for poor people. And I was like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? It's like net worth is something that Wall Street uses to trick poor people into saving. The only thing that matters is cash flow that's coming in every month, because your bills are going to come in every month. And so like somebody who wants your money will tell you, but think about the net worth. So a bank is like, take out all these loans and then you're going to pay off the loan and we're going to make all this money while we just chill and chill back. And you're going to do all the work and worry about tenants and fixing up and but guess what? Like in however many years, 20 years, you'll build up a net worth. And so it was little things like that were just all these tiny paradigm shifts that really, I think one other thing, and then we'll bounce out of here since we're late for our next meeting. But one of the other things was seeing him just hearing about his deals was powerful. Like as we were going through just initially working together, oh man, y'all are killing it on the likes on YouTube. I appreciate that. So as we're just getting started, like he was working on a deal to acquire Kodak of China and structuring this crazy deal. Obviously it was going to be on the downtrend, but he had worked out like, okay, these numbers going to work. And so that was also the first introduction to me for like thinking internationally and the importance of doing international deals and having money in different currencies and having relationships in different currencies and in countries and all of that. So it was a lot. We got a lot for the next one. So we'll be back. I don't know exactly when, but we'll be back for another one of these next week, man. Loving the questions. You're killing it. All of this came up. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. I'll see you on the other call. Peace. What's up? Thanks so much for jumping on, Melvin, Nikki. Appreciate it. Yen, yeah, repping. Billions is back, man. It's a great show. Yeah, what's up, Carl? Aldo? Awesome. Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate the likes, and we'll be back again soon. Have a great evening.